What is happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. Welcome back to my home. It's been a minute since we filmed in here. Honestly, not much has changed around here. I have two very lazy cats that just kind of do whatever they want. All right, so today's video, we are gonna be talking, guys, about the 400Z. So if you guys have seen around online, the Nissan 400Z photos, people are claiming that these are the new 400Z photos have essentially leaked. And we're gonna take a look at it and kind of talk about the 400Z and what we're expected to see and kind of how much power it's making and the options and all that stuff. Will this be a contender for the Supra? Will it wipe out the sales of the Supra? Will it be a better option than the Supra? That is all of the controversy right now. Let's get into it. Bob, what's your move, dude? You going for the 400Z or the Supra? Supra gang or 400Z gang? But no matter what I do, this guy is always on the desk. So anytime I'm editing or working on photos, this dude, he just comes right up here and does his thing. I can't really do anything about it. Anyways, all right, so I got the first article up here by Car and Driver. Before we get into this, I wanna say that I'm not selling my Supra to get the 400Z. I wouldn't do that. I like the Supra more than this car. I've never been like a really big Nissan Z guy. Even back in my JDM days, I was never that into the Nissan Zs. However, I did like them and I did want one in my garage at some point. It was never like a car that I had to have. I kind of switched over from the JDM to the Euro world, and I still prefer European model cars like Porsche and BMW over the JDM cars. Now that's just like personal preference, and I know that sounds a little bit silly considering I have a Supra, but at the same time, the reason I really like the Supra is because of the controversial partnership with BMW. So I don't know if I'm particularly the target audience for this car. I kind of see this to be a younger demographic, if I'm being entirely honest. But I do think it is an interesting car, and I do want to talk about it because I feel like Nissan is putting this car out the way that they're putting it out, at the price point that they're putting it out, to directly compete with the Supra, and that's what everyone's talking about. And being that I have the Supra, and I've had it for a little bit now, and I have a lot to say about it, I figured we would talk a little bit about the Nissan Z. So first off, you guys see right here, we got the Car and Driver article up. Now this literally just came out a few days ago, and I posted these photos that leaked on my Instagram like a week ago or so. I mean, to be fair, like the majority of my audience doesn't like this car, but they are mostly European, like BMW guys. Oh, we're out, that's it? Or are we just moving around? What are we doing? Okay, we're just moving around. So what I've noticed, and it's not like a bad thing, this is just very normal for a lot of car enthusiasts who have primarily only liked one kind of car for the majority of their time being in the car community. I've noticed that a lot of BMW and just like Euro guys aren't really fans of the Z cars. I think a lot of younger kids are into like the 350Zs right now and the 370Zs. The overall modification market for this car will be huge because it's a Z. And before we get into all that, let's talk about the car. Let me show you guys what it looks like. So here it is, 2022 Nissan Z. So the cool thing that I do like about this that I will say is they didn't stray too far, allegedly, from the prototype. So apparently we're looking at the production car. We're looking at what is going to arrive in the US. You know, a lot of people have a lot to say about it. They don't like the big front end. They don't like the big open grille. They don't like the headlights. You guys have to remember that a lot of people are very like, they kind of strike shock value when anything new comes out. We saw it with the G80 M3, we saw it with the Supra, we're seeing it again with the Z. People love to be negative towards anything different or anything new. And it's just like one of the most cringy things to me when like anything new and anything different comes out, people hate it. And then it's out for a little bit longer and they tend to like it afterwards. We see this over and over and over again. People like seem to forget every time a new car comes out. And then all these people are like, oh my God, it's the most disgusting thing ever. And then after a while, like, it's kind of growing on me. Like the amount of people that complained about my Supra when I first got it, and then after a while, were like, it's kind of growing on me. It's like staggering. And this is the exact same thing that happens with every new car that comes out. I personally think this car looks really good. I like it. But at the same time, anytime I'm like looking at a new car like this, I know I see the potential that it has as far as design. Like if it looks this good stock, it's going to look really, really good once modified with some carbon on it, you know, some blacked out accents, the right fitment. I don't think it's quite there yet, but I think it could be really good. So there are like 3 photos that have leaked on this online. Let me see if I can find them on here. So there was like a video of the car. Here's the video. I really like the rear. It looks like the old Z, the old 200, 240Z, I believe. Kind of like retro styling. I really do like the retro styling part of it. I think that that looks really cool. And I think that like when people start modifying them, like I was saying before, it's going to look sick. So this is the front end that we saw before in this like gray that is, it's obviously got like a metallic to it. I think it looks really good. I think it looks really good. I know I'm gonna get like a lot of heat for it. Look, I told you guys, I put it on my Instagram and the majority of people were like, that thing is so ugly. They were freaking out. But people were saying the exact same thing with the Supra. They were like, that thing is so ugly. And now people love the Supra. Not everyone, but some people do. So the rear end, I really like the rear end on this car. I really do. Some people were saying it's Mustang. I can kind of see where you're getting the Mustang. I think it looks much more retro than that. I think it looks more like an old 200 or 240Z. So if you guys look at the old Datsun 240Z, there are definite similarities between this car and, I mean, first of all, this car is sick. I would love to have an old 240Z. I think they look insane. So if you look at this car, like the rear end of this car and the styling and the retro of it, and then we go back to the 400, there are definite similarities. So you can see how they kind of dip into the heritage, the retro styling, and I think it looks really good. I personally really like the way that this car looks. So if we go over to the next photo, so this is the interior. I think the interior looks really good as well. I think personally, I think this interior looks better than the Supra interior. I don't love the Supra's interior. I think it's okay, but I don't love it. I think that this looks a lot better. First and foremost, what do I like most about this interior? This steering wheel. I think the steering wheel right off the bat looks a lot better than the Toyota steering wheel. I love how it has all of the digital displays. It has that giant screen in the middle. It has the 3 gauges up on top of the dash. The interior is like a perfect mix between retro and modern. I think it looks really, really good. But the big conversation is that they are going to allegedly be releasing a model that is manual. So this was a big, big issue with the Supra. Everybody wanted a manual option. I love the ZF transmission. I still love the ZF transmission. I still think it is superior in terms of speed and comfort, but I do think that Toyota and BMW made a huge mistake when they didn't at least offer up a manual option. So just the fact that this will be offered in a manual is huge. That alone makes this car much more entertaining to a much broader range of people who are looking to buy these cars. Even though it's not the fastest, there are people out there that just enjoy the experience of having the manual transmission. Me being one of them. I'm not like a race car driver. I'm not at the track every weekend doing quarter-mile slips every day. Like, I'm not trying to have the fastest car. I prefer the experience of driving the car, and part of that comes with the manual transmission. So if there's anything that I had to say about the Supra, I miss having my manual M2 transmission, but with the Supra. Like, I love the B58 platform in the Supra. I feel like the Supra is just such a well-balanced, fantastic car, especially from, you know, the styling. The way that it looks is unbelievable. I love the way that the Supra looks, the B58 platform, everything. And then you get to the transmission, which is great. It's a great transmission. I'm not completely shitting on it. I just feel like if they would have optioned in a manual, it would have been so much better. And I'm definitely not one of the people who's sitting here saying, oh, they shouldn't have called this a Supra. It's not a Supra. It's a BMW. It's a rebadged Z4 or whatever. I don't care what people call it. Like, I'm not one of those people. I like the car for the car. You can call it whatever you want. But the fact is, that is the Mark V. This is the Supra. This is what we have. This is our reality. And I'm living in reality, so that is now our Supra. And I think when it comes down to it, I really like that car. I love the Supra. I think it's fantastic. Now, the Z, I like the Z too, but they're offering a manual, and that is super entertaining to me. Now, again, let me circle back. I think the Supra with the ZF has its place. And I personally would not get rid of my Supra because of how good it is with the ZF transmission and the B58 platform and just the entire package. Like, it looks incredible. It has a street presence unlike any other car. It's really, really fast. It's been reliable so far. I think the B58 overall has proven itself in like the 340, M340 models. I just think overall the Supra is a great car, and I don't have any plans of getting rid of it. Like, all of these cars that I usually build, I kind of get to the end and I'm like, okay, maybe it's time to like freshen up, get something new. I don't really feel that way with this car, man. I would like to keep it. If I can, and I can make more room somehow, I would like to just keep the car and then continue on with another project and have two. Back to the Z. So this car's great. The fact that it is, I mean, you guys have to remember, this is all like allegedly, like no one really knows what's happening with this car yet. No one really knows what the price is gonna be. This is all speculation. So as far as speculation goes, I love the fact that it's being offered in a manual. Whether you like that or not, whether you're, all about the automatics, whether you're all about the manual, I think it's really smart to at least option to have the manual. You guys saw that in the G80 video, the G80 M3 video, I actually drove the manual and I actually didn't prefer it, which was quite surprising to me. I thought for sure, without question, the G80 and the manual was the way to go. I kind of preferred the car in an automatic, and I think the reason being is because it felt more like an M5. It's so heavy and big now. It's just gone way past the point of it being this small, nimble, sports car sedan. It's now treading territory into M5 territory. And I just feel like, an F90 M5 would be weird with a manual. I would much rather have that with an automatic. And the ZF is such a great transmission in a bigger car like that, that's just the way to go. So that is how I feel. We're kind of all over the place here. But back to the Z, this car, I think that this car is going to be really big. And here's the next reason I say that. The price point. So as far as price is concerned, they are speculating this car will be around $40,000, which is a very entertaining price for this car, for what you're potentially getting. The fact that the Supras, the 6-cylinder Supras are, $50,000. Some people paid upwards of $60,000 for the new ones. So let's talk about power output. They're saying that this car is gonna have about 400 horsepower, whereas the Supra had 382 horsepower. I think that that's a little bit lower than what it actually is in the Supra. Either way, they're probably very similar. However, I think that the B58 is going to be a much stronger platform than the twin turbo setup that they are potentially using in the Nissan. They're saying it's gonna be a twin turbocharged 3-liter V6, a modified version of the engine found in the Q50 and the Q60. That's what they're saying. I still think that the inline 6 in the B58 turbo is going to be better. I think that that's going to be the better performing engine in terms of making a lot of power and doing it easily. But like I said, this is all speculation, and we'll see when this thing actually gets out on the road and people are actually driving them and modifying them. But that's it, you guys. What do you think about this car? What are your thoughts on this? Take a look. Take a look. It looks like the video, it's like a lighter gray, almost like a silver. Like a chalk white almost. Brooklyn gray maybe, a little bit lighter. Some people hate that front end. I think the front end looks really good. I actually kind of like it. I don't think that's a bad front end. I know that that's going to be controversial. I know a lot of you guys aren't going to like it. I personally think it looks pretty good. I don't know if I would buy it in this gray color that they have here. I honestly haven't seen a color that I really like. I'm not a big fan of these highlighter yellow cars. I think they're cool for shock value, but I wouldn't personally buy one. That's just not my style. I don't love the lighter gray one. I don't love the almost like the mineral gray that we're seeing right here. I think they look okay, but I would definitely like to see some other options coming out because none of those three would be one that I personally would buy. The price point seems to be right, like in the 40,000s. That is a pretty affordable car for what we're hypothetically getting here. And of course, the aftermarket market is going to be massive. The modification market for this car is going to be really, really big. I feel like there's going to be a lot of support for it. There's a lot of hype around this car, especially since it's supposed to be competing with the Supra. What do you guys think? Do you think that this car is going to come out and just absolutely crush the Supra sales? Are you interested in buying this car? I know the majority of you guys are BMW guys. If it weren't for this car or the Supra, what do you personally love right now? Like, what car is really the car that you want right now? Is there a certain BMW that you want? Do you love the G80? Do you want the G82? Let's talk about that, because honestly, I'm really interested. There's not that many options out right now for like good cars that are new and affordable. G80 is a nice car, but it's an $80,000 car. Like, that's a very expensive car, in my opinion, for what you're getting. $80,000, I think I'm going to buy a Porsche. Like, if you go to $80,000, you are encroaching on supercar territory. You are talking GTRs, you are talking GT4s, you are even talking GT3 RSs once you get to like 100s. I personally, for that amount of money, would not be buying a M3. I would rather have an F80. You know, I'd rather get into like an F80 for $40,000, $50,000 than pay $80,000 for this really heavy M3. So that's my take on it. I think this new Nissan Z is really interesting. That's why I'm making the video. Before any of these photos got leaked, I absolutely wanted one in my garage because I know that it would be fun to build. Like, this car would be fun to build. I don't think it would be necessarily like the fastest car that I'd own, but I do think it would be a really fun car to own. And as far as like style and design, I know that there's gonna be a lot of cool parts coming out for it. I know that I could make it look really good. I know that the hype will be massive around the car. So in terms of like YouTube, it'll probably be pretty good for a lot of people if they buy it when it's new. But at the same time, new cars, I don't like buying like new cars. Like, I like to wait a little bit to see what happens, because you just never know. Like, there can be catastrophic issues with cars when they first come out, and you guys are seeing what's happening with the A91s. Like, the A91 Supras are having a massive oil consumption issue with those 6-port head, with the 6-port heads. And for whatever reason, when BMW and Toyota went from the 2-port head to the 6-port head, they're having oil consumption issues. Now, do I know why? No, but it is happening, and people are talking about it in the forums. It seems like it's literally all people are talking about with the A91 Supra. Now, that doesn't affect the 2020s. That affects the A91, the newer ones. I were someone who was buying a new Supra, and I wanted to tune it, and I didn't want to have catastrophic oil consumption issues. I would be looking at 2020s. I would be looking at the A90s. That's just me. Anyways, I think this car's sick. Will I own it? I don't know. I gotta wait for it to come out. I have to see this thing in person. I have to drive this car in person. What we see online is always much different than what we have in person. Even when the new G80 came out and I saw it online, I was like, I don't really know if I like it. I saw it in person, I liked it a lot more. It still wasn't a car that I had to have though. And if I don't have to have the car, I'm just not gonna buy it. That's not me. I'm not gonna buy the car just to have it on YouTube and like get the clicks, because I would rather like own it for a little bit and actually enjoy it. And if I'm just buying it for like clicks and shit on YouTube, I don't know, man. I can't do it. I just can't be that guy. No offense to like all the other YouTubers that do that, because I know that it gets them a lot of views. Like, look at Daily Driven Exotics. It seems like they're buying a new car like every 4 days. But at the same time, like, is that even special anymore? You've probably taken so many dopamine hits from buying a new car that experience is just like going to get groceries for you. Like, it's just not, it's not special anymore. There's nothing exciting about it. I would hate to ever get to that point in my YouTube career that buying a car like is one of the coolest and most fun experiences. Being a car enthusiast and like being in the car community and just loving cars, like that is something that is so special to us. I would never want that for me personally to get to the point where it was just like, oh, another car. Like, I'm just doing it to get these like YouTube clicks. It won't happen. It won't happen on this channel. So you guys tell me what you think about the new 400Z. I think it's dope. Will it make it into the garage? I don't know. Right now, super gang. Anyways, I appreciate you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out. you.